What's up, everybody? This is Kieran Reese, the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and I'm actually here to talk about something in the commentary community that makes me sad instead of angry. Now, I'm a weirdo. As anyone will tell you, I am definitely fucking weird. And so the YouTubers that I like are few and far between. And not the normal ones like PewDiePie and Logan Paul, all that shit. Some YouTubers I really like is Tipster, Deck of Shadow, Deus Deacon, and the subject of today's video, Apollo Legend. Apollo Legend and Carl Jobst were honestly the people that made speedrunning important to me. That gave me a picture of the wider speedrunning community. As I really didn't care until they were around. I remember the first time I watched Apollo Legends videos, I was taken down a fucking rabbit hole of seeing how game speedrunning worked for the first time ever. I had never even heard of GDQ. I know that sounds crazy, right? And for those who aren't in the know like me, or I was, it's games done quick. Well, it was a rabbit hole. Showing all these things I had never seen. And these ways of playing that I had never seen. It was insane. And I started watching his videos almost religiously. I learned about EasyScape. I learned about GDQ. I learned about what real speedrunning looks like. The history of speedrunning. What cheating looks like in speedrunning. And just how much of a fucking joke Billy Mitchell was. I honestly had almost never heard of Billy Mitchell. I heard him referenced in passing on the Angry Video Game Nerd. And I briefly heard him mentioned in the King of Kong documentary. But I had no idea who he was. Let alone the fact that he called himself the fucking video game player of the century. Not to mention the fact that gaming hasn't even been around 100 years. And even if you go by based on the shit that it has been around, Billy's at the dead fucking last, man. There's some people who've done insane things that he couldn't even comprehend. You know, but Apollo Legend shined a light on it, man. I went into R.Y. Goose. I went into all these different fucking speedrunners, man. And for the first time in my life, I contemplated speedrunning. It opened my eyes in a beautiful way. It was fucking awesome. He was funny, he was charismatic, and he had a unique, drab, extremely dry kind of humor and sarcasm. And I know there were some people that didn't like Apollo Legend. I know that. But basically what he's guilty of is he had personal beef with some people that he mentioned in videos, like Dark Viper EU. And he overzealously defended his friend. Now, YouTube is half fucking drama, so can you really call him out for having drama with certain people? No. And as for the friend thing, R.Y. Goose is kind of racist. There's no way around it. I used to like his videos a lot more, but he has said some pretty racist fucking shit. He legitimately doesn't believe in mixing of the races, and he believes that black people should be quarantined on a fucking island. And that is kind of fucked up. But he had been friends with Apollo Legend for years, and I genuinely don't think Apollo Legend knew about this shit. None of the shit that implicated R.I. Goose showed up on Apollo Legend. None of it. And I think Apollo Legend was just trying to protect his friend, who he deeply cared about. And I can say that even when my friends that I really care about have done that, and made mistakes, that I cared about them, and I tried to protect them. Not make it so they didn't face repercussions, but I stood up for my fucking friends. You know? And I just now learned that Apollo Legend fucking killed himself. Like, you know, he hadn't done videos in a while, but he had went months between videos anyway. He was kind of one of those YouTubers that did a big video every now and then, man. And I hadn't heard about him. No, man, he killed himself in December of last year. Can't believe it took me almost 6 months to find out about it, man, because he is one of my favorite YouTubers. I don't, go snooping in the YouTubers. I just waited for him to have new shit, and his Twitter profile never showed he was having issues. Last time he updated his Twitter profile was in July of 2020. So, I had no idea. And looking back at the last days of Apollo's life is fucking heartbreaking. Because he suffered a great deal. And I can honestly relate to him. When I do these videos, right, I don't often show my face in the commentary videos. But I think that it's necessary to convey just how I feel about this. Apollo Legend wasn't perfect. But he was a sad and lonely man who suffered from anxiety and childhood trauma and depression to a great deal. And at the end of his life, he had very few friends who cared about him. He had very few people in his corner. He was sad and he was alone. And it's something that I can deeply relate to. I have severe O.C.G. and anxiety. I deal with it on an everyday basis. I've had people think I was crazy and a fucking killer my whole life. I've had people think that I'm a fucking murderer. Just because I'm different. Think that I hear voices in my head because I talk to myself as a nervous tick from my OCD. I had people beat the shit out of me when I was a little fucking kid. Because I was different. I mean, I'm talking about 5 older dudes smashing my head into a fucking rock. Gave me a huge concussion, man. Could have fucking killed me. People call me Queernan. Because my name is Kiernan. Queernan. And growing up, man, a lot of people didn't want to be around me. Even if I was nice to them. I'm an exceedingly polite person. But because I was different, they fucking judged me. And I would be lying if I said that in the darkest pits of my mental depression that I haven't seriously thought about suicide. And wish that I just wasn't here so I didn't have to hurt anymore. But luckily, due to the friends and family that I do have, and due to me having a passion, I was sticked around. I had a support system to help get me through.
If it's just looking, window shop away.
But it doesn't really seem like Apollo had that. At the end, he was sad and alone, and even other people that he knew turned his fucking back on him, man.
There should be enough.
And Billy Mitchell fucking laughed and made jokes about his fucking death.
Oh, good. I was just thinking of ways to pass the time.
I already thought Billy Mitchell was a nasty piece of shit.
Are more dexterous than one might think. Thank you for your...
That really takes the cake, man. There are lots and lots of people that I think are assholes. There are lots and lots of people that have irritated me. I think are douchebags. And I still wouldn't wish fucking death on them. I still wouldn't wish them to fucking die. And when Billy died, when Apollo died, people were fucking glad. Billy was fucking glad. In a leaked message, he said, "I'll try not to snicker or laugh I mean, what a fucking cunt. And it's true, Apollo made some mistakes. He got a little bit too involved in personal drama, and he protected his friend too much. And it sucks. It honestly sucks that that happened. But he was a good person. He was just sad and lonely and lost. And I think that a lot of people like me can relate to that. Should relate to that. And if more people just had a little bit of mercy, a little bit of temperance, and just some empathy, the world wouldn't be as fucked up as it is right now. We have all the knowledge and none of the understanding. We talk about everyone being on the spectrum. Fuck, I'm on the spectrum. I'm fucking autistic. I have Asperger's. We talk about caring about mental illness. But then we just have all these people killing themselves, man. Male suicide is no fucking joke. Male suicide is fucking terrible. 80% of all suicides are male. For like every one woman that kills themselves, there's like literally 10 dudes. Male suicide is actually one of the leading causes of male death. Now think about that. Whereas for women, suicide isn't even in the top 20.
I won't last until dinner.
Because when men have issues, when men have mental health problems, nobody gives a shit. You know, a girl has a problem, she needs help, she's struggling. You're like, queen, how can I help you? I love you. You know, if Pokemon were to say right now, I'm dealing with depression, I'm scared, I've had suicidal thoughts, man, people would care. People would rush to her aid and be there for her. But when Apollo Legend was at his darkest fucking day, nobody was there. He went to his fucking grave thinking that the world didn't care about him. And it's something I can deeply relate to. There are times when I wondered if I died, would anyone miss me? There are times when I thought that if I died, the world would be a better place. To look into traffic and think, you know, why not? And I would have done anything in those fucking times. Just to have somebody come up to me and say, are you okay? Are you going to be alright? And thankfully, eventually I did get people that cared. But Apollo didn't have them. And now the world is short one more gifted person.
Welcome.
Meanwhile, you know, when he was 26, he was just a year older than me. I just turned 25 back in May. Meanwhile, fucking Billy Mitchell, man, he's 56, or gonna be, and he's gonna live to ripe old age, and yet he's the most hateful piece of shit I've ever seen. Could really do die young, man. And it didn't have to be like this.
One moment, please.
You know, if you have mental issues and you're a man, get help. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't give a shit. I know there's a lot of people that think that you're just a worthless piece of shit, man. That what problems could a man have? But it's real and it's valid. And don't give up. because there's always a reason to keep on fighting. Even if it's just something as small as there's going to be a good meal today, or I'm going to see my mom today, or a game comes out this month. Just keep on moving. Never give up. Keep fighting. I've been really depressed lately. My mom has had some health issues. We've had a lot of financial hardships. We're having to cut back. There are times when we don't even eat as much as we should. But there's some games coming out that I'm looking forward to play. Sorry about that. My fucking mic died. The whole point is that I had some games purchased previously that I couldn't refund. And it gave me something to look forward to. And it can be just as small as that, man. Just one fucking reason not to give up. Just one reason to keep on going. And I wish that somebody would have given him that reason. I wish that more people would have fucking cared. I hate that it took me 6 months to find out he fucking died. And I hope that wherever he is, that God has taken mercy on him and it's somewhere better. I hope that God doesn't hold a mental illness against people. It always seemed kind of unfair, you know, to have somebody be mentally ill and commit suicide. And then to think that their punishment for being mentally ill is they're going to burn in hell forever. But you know what? This isn't even a religious video. This is a video about... Man, look out for each other. There were so many signs that people could have seen if they had looked. I could have seen more if I looked, you know? And we don't see them until they're fucking too late. Sometimes just you asking if somebody's okay is enough to make the fucking difference because they know that somebody cares. That somebody wants them alive. That somebody gives a fuck. Just knowing that somebody wants them around can be enough to put the gun down, to take it away from your fucking head. People go around thinking that the greatest kindness, man, is given in these monumental things, but it's not. Kindness isn't a fucking... Kindness isn't one giant thing. It's a series of small favors. It's a series of tiny questions. It's a fucking river. It's about consistency. You do something nice for somebody one time. You do something great for somebody one time. And good. But you're consistently there for somebody. You're consistently worried about their well-being. You consistently care about them. And it adds up. If you just had one person checking in about him, you know, maybe this wouldn't have happened. And it's a very scary thing, thinking that I suffer from a lot of the same problems he did. And somebody that was as gifted as him could just fucking throw it all away. And I hope that I have the strength to keep on fighting and not give up. And we gotta help each other, man. We've got to stand together. So be kind. You know, you see somebody having a bad day, ask them if they're fucking okay. Show a little bit of human decency. It costs you absolutely nothing. Just show that you care. Be kind to one another. And for God's sakes, stop giving Billy Mitchell the time of fucking day. He helped drive Apollo to suicide. And while he wants to point and say, well, in his suicide letter, he didn't mention Apollo. Yeah, because the last time Apollo mentioned Billy Mitchell, he sued him for $1 million and forced him to settle out of court and give him the rights to the videos. So yeah, he probably didn't want to do that again when he finally fucking settled. That doesn't mean that Billy Mitchell didn't play a role. He absolutely did play a role. Now, ultimately, it was Apollo that decided to kill himself. You can't blame anyone else for that. But you'd be fucking remiss if you didn't acknowledge that a bunch of other people put him in that awful situation. And the thought of legal censure, the thought of $1 million debt, really fucked up somebody who was already fucking ill mind. And I hope that Billy Mitchell knows that he's headed for a fucking reckoning. That he's gonna lose all these things, and they're gonna expect him to pay legal fees, and it's gonna fucking crush him and good. He's destroyed so many lives. He's made so many fucking lies. Apollo Legend was a genuinely good person that suffered a mental illness. Even in his last suicide video, he worried that his fucking family, how they do without him. He thought about it. We need more people like him. And we need to do a better job of advocating for mental suicide and mental health for men.